All right, what's up, everybody? This is Goomer22, and we're doing like a post-season, just kind of thoughts and just kind of wrap up of the season for VDL. If you haven't watched the videos, check them out. Some really intense matches, especially the finals, which we lost, as I'm sure you've already heard. But it was fun. It was a good season. First VGC draft league. It was on cart, which was really fun. I don't know. Showdown ones are fine, but I think the ones on cart are just a little bit more like intense. I don't know. But anyways, I guess I'll just go through like kind of my draft team and why I drafted what I did, and just kind of general stuff about how the season went and whatnot. So it was a really good learning experience too. It was really interesting, and I'm hoping to do more draft leagues in the future. So this will be a good starting spot. I mean, and the VDL is a great one, so definitely apply. If and signups are going to be coming out soon. But yeah, this is gonna be like a free form video too. I don't have like anything scripted or anything, so that's just gonna be chatting away. So anyways, I like draft because you get to try out new mons for one, and two, you get to use some of your favorite mons, even if they're not like meta or something like that. So, one of my favorite Pokemon, might be my favorite Pokemon, is Boltund. And so definitely made him a staple of my team, and I think he's got a lot of good tools in draft too. So for the VDL, there was 24 coaches, and I was 23rd of 24. So right around the horn, and it's a snake draft. So essentially 2 picks each time, which is really nice. And it actually does. I think when you have to certain draft positions like that, I think it does actually change your drafting strategy. And so, for example, when it came down to me, now sure I could have gotten Boltund in a different round potentially, but I wanted to make a statement that Boltund is OP, and so I got Boltund right away because I didn't want to. I also didn't want to wait until like the 7th round, and then someone randomly picks up Boltund, and I'm like, are you kidding me? But he's got really good tools. I think any mon with 2 good abilities is really, really useful in draft, because the thing about draft, and this is a best of 3 league, but like it's all about gaining information on your opponent, because they have a million different setups they could bring each week, and so every little bit of information that you have to figure out makes it harder on them. So if I bring Boltund and they have an Intimidator, can they intimidate my strong jaw and hinder my damage output, or are they going to proc my competitive? It's really annoying. So and that's another thing. And so mons that are versatile and can go physical or special. Boltund does not have a lot of special coverage, but it has good support in that respect. And if it gets a competitive boost, it actually can get really strong. And so I think mons like that are just super, super useful. So anyways, yeah, I went Boltund right away. Now the thing is, the other reason I love Boltund is because you pair it next to a ground type, and you have Electrify, which I think this is another funny thing about draft, and I wonder if this happens to other people. So let me know if it does. But like, my second pick was Garchomp, right? So I think Boltund and ground types pair up really, really well, especially physical ground types, because you have Electrify. And Boltund's super, super fast. So 121 base speed, which is really nice because for 2 reasons. One, you just naturally outspeed a bunch of stuff like, Inteleon, Sceptile, Alakazam, and like everything's slower than that. Like you just outspeed so much stuff. Pretty much the only things that outspeed it are like, Pheromosa, Dragapult, Ninjask, Excelgor, all the 130s. So like Tapu Koko, Spectrier. But you outspeed so much, it's really it makes it forces your opponents to have to think about certain speed tiering in a different way when you have a fast mon like that. That's why I love having Boltund there, because if your fastest mon is faster than your opponent's fastest mon, it makes the speed It makes them have to think about speed control a lot more. And the other thing is Bolton gets nuzzle, so you can just do fast nuzzles and gain speed control that way, which is really, really nice. But anyways, you have Electrify for a ground type, and you can if they try to intimidate Garchomp, they can just proc Bolton's competitive, which is then super, super nice. So and even if you're throwing out just like Snarls or something like that, like you're gonna be chipping away and doing big damage with competitive. So that's really annoying. The other cool thing about Electrify is even if you don't pair it next to a ground type, Bolton gets Rising Voltage, as most electric types do. So you can just Electrify that their Maxmon, and or your own. And that's what's also another nice thing about Bolton is you can do self-Electrify. So if Garchomp needs to use electric coverage, they can do that with like a max move. But you can also Electrify your opponents, and if they go into Bolton, it sets electric terrain, and then you can just use Rising Voltage and do big damage that way also. So, plus Bolton gets Eerie Impulse and Charm. I don't know. It just gets a lot of tools. I really love it, and so I wanted to show it off this season. I think I did. Didn't get to utilize it as much as I was hoping because of some of the other strong mons I drafted, but I still think I made it known that Bolton's pretty good. But anyways, yeah, so what I like about when you're at the end of a draft is you can do combo picks like that. So like Bolton Garchomp, bam. I was like, I know I can get them both. Whereas it's harder if round one goes by and then it's like, okay, well, do I just go for the best ground type? Do I go for Bolton just because I really want Bolton? And so what happened is, then all the next 48 picks or whatever go by, and then it's back up to me, and I see that Hatterene and Liepard are both available, and so I was like, okay, let's go for this combo. Which again, it makes it really tough if you draft one or the other, and then you can't get the other piece of your combo, because that's like a super specific combo there, Hatterene Liepard, because no other prankster mon. I guess you can do Riolu, but there's only one other mon that can do copycat like that, and Liepard has some other better tools for Hatterene than Riolu. So that's another aspect of whether you're in the middle of the draft or not, what you can do. And I don't think I think you can make any position work either. I don't think being at the end is necessarily the best. And it's nice for the combos, but you just have to. I think you have to think on your. You also get a lot of time in between picks, so you have a lot more planning time. I mean, obviously you can get sniped, but I think in the middle you have to think a little bit harder because you only get one pick, and then you have to make sure it's versatile enough to get multiple types of combos. Have backups. But anyways, I got Hatterene and Liepard, and I think this is really nice for two reasons. I think on draft, I love drafting on fast Pokemon, but I don't think you need to have Trick Room modes necessarily. But if you just draft a strong Trick Room Pokemon, it is usually enough to deter your opponent from setting up Trick Room. So if you draft a super fast team and then you just throw a Scavalier on there, right? Well, your opponent might have a strong Trick Room mode, but if their Trick Room mon isn't a fire type or something like that, they're gonna be I don't know if Trick Room's good because they just have a Scavalier. Make it awkward for your opponent to set up Trick Room as well. Now Hatterene does have Trick Room, but I don't even know if I ever even used that during the season. And that's another funny thing is I never used Trick Room Copycat. I don't think that threat is always there, but I don't think I ever actually used it during draft. Mostly because I don't necessarily like having to use it. I almost used it in finals. However, my opponent Otto, he brought a strong Trick Room mode, so it didn't really make sense. But he could have gone fast mode too. But either way, yeah, it's funny how you expect these combos to come out, but it forces your opponents to prep for them as well, which is nice. And then I drafted. I can't remember exactly what order I drafted after that, but I will say that. So then I looked at what I could combo with the mons I already had. So Liepard is Prankster, and I love having Prankster mons in draft. You can just use so much of them, and it really forces your opponents to think. but it was my only fake out mon. Well, at first, which is also annoying because I don't want to waste fake out on a prankster mon because I can just use a ton of other cool prankster moves. But Lipar gets weather, so I thought some nice weather modes might be nice. And I can counter other people's weather in draft too. So I went with Kabutops and Leafeon. I had those planned to draft for a while. Specifically Leafeon because, and I did get to use this in the season, which was really cool, but I think it's the only chlorophyll user who also gets Rain Dance. So essentially you can just always have Rain up if you want, which is nice because it reduces fire attacks, but also like, let's say I have Kabutops in there and they try to switch in Torkoal and set Sun for like a Venusaur, it's like, well, I can just reset it immediately with Rain Dance, because then I'll get chlorophyll. So that's kind of a cool little thing. I was also planning on doing weird stuff like Liepard switch eject pack and Leafeon baby doll eyes, but like, or even quick attack with like a eject button, but I never really got to use that. Let's see. I also thought another thing about, so that was another thing. Kabutops has weak armor and swift swim, which are two useful abilities, which is really, really fun because I was also planning on, I almost brought this a couple times, but like Scarf Garchomp or maybe just normal Garchomp because Garchomp's pretty fast. Just Earthquake to set weak armor and get weakness policy Kabutops and either max it or just attack, honestly, at that point. I thought that would have been really, really cool. And then, let's see, after that, Kabutops also gets knockoff, so that was nice. I think having a knockoff user is always kind of nice in draft. One other thing is that I looked at the tier 4s, and I do like to dip into the tier 4s earlier than usual, and you gotta find mons that you're comfortable with and that you think other people like underrate. So like one of mine was Boltund, right? So I think people would have vastly underrated Boltund, but so I snagged it. Another one I thought people would underrate is Type Null, and Type Null with Eviolite and with Battle Armor, so they can't crit. If you set up Iron Defenses, or if you like Max Quake, like I can just do Max Quakes with Garchomp next to Type Null, and then I can start Iron Defensing, and then I have Special Defense and Defense boosts, and if I use like Rest, Snore, and then two other moves, or I guess Iron Defense and then another move, like it's just so hard to break through. And it's another win condition too, which is nice, like Stall. So that's a third win condition, which is really nice to have on your draft team. But yeah, I think when I look, when you have to draft a tier 4. Now I ended up with 2 tier 4s, but I didn't originally plan on doing that, and I'll go through that. But but Type Null, I saw it in tier 4, and I was like, oh man, that is so underrated. But like, I mean, you kind of have to. Like, it's maybe not worth it as a tier 3. So there's always going to be mons that are good for their tier. And so yeah, I just made sure to dip into there and get my tier 4, because that's the thing is like, the thing about the lower tiers, whether you have 10 tiers in your draft or 4, if you have to draft those lower tier mons, I want to look at those first, because if you think about the tier 1 mons, like, what tier 1 mon would you be like unhappy with, right? There's so many good ones. Now usually like you're gonna bring them almost every week, so you want to build your team around them, but like you have a little bit more flexibility there. There's not like a lot of trash in tier 1 or 2. So, but there is in tier 4. There's a lot of trash in tier 4. So if you go to tier 4 earlier, and then like tier 3 or whatever, the lower tiers in your draft league, if you go to lower tiers and pick up the good stuff there, and then other people are left with the trash at the end of the draft, like you'll snag really good. You can snag really good tier 1s late too. And that's another thing I was planning on not using my free picks for a tier 1, because I didn't want to have to draft another tier 4. But once it got around to me, like later in the draft, I was like, holy crap! I was like, Celesteela is actually still available, and it pairs so well with Garchomp because Fairy and Ice are Garchomp's weaknesses, and Celesteela, obviously, Steel counters both of those. and it's just so strong. You can go physical or special, and you can go stall. Celestial is, I think, one of the best draft mons, plus Beast Boost. But also with Garchomp, you have those fairy and ice coverage weaknesses, and again, you can Airstream and then just freely Earthquake as well, and just have a fast Garchomp Earthquaking when you're not hitting your ally. It's just, oh, it's disgusting. So that was another really, really scary combo with that. And Celesteela, you could actually use it in a Trick Room mode, so that was kind of nice for if I ever set Trick Room with Hatterene. The other thing I'll say is that I originally drafted Bisharp instead of Regice and Croagunk instead of Tyrogue. And the reason being, I tried to look for other things in Tier 4 that I could utilize on my team. And like my team at the time already had a good amount of modes, and like I basically I didn't think I needed like extra firepower. So I was like, okay, I need to get a Tier 4 that can like help me do something, like set up. So getting, I think, mons with priority is kind of neat. And so the reason I got Tyrogue is because I never did some of this, but I did bring it. I wanted a way to proc Kabutops with priority. So like Garchomp can do Earthquake, but what if they have someone faster than Garchomp? That run Choice Scarf. I don't really want to do that. But Tyrogue has Mach Punch, so I can do Mach Punch, Weak Armor, Weakness Policy with Kabutops. I can also do Vacuum Wave with Regice, and Regice has super good specialty, so it wouldn't even matter. I can also do Fake Out with Tyrogue, which is nice. That's another priority. Faint to get through Protect. I think that's an underutilized move in draft sometimes. And then I could also just use Sash Counter on Tyrogue, which I really wanted to do, which would have been hilarious. But you might think like, okay, Tyrogue is, whatever, it's a baby mon. Like, what's a counter gonna do? But even with 35 base HP, I think you get to like 142 HP or something like that. So if you think about it, if you max out his HP and you counter and you go down to Sash, you're doing 141 times 2 damage. So you're doing 282 damage. That can kill some max mods. I mean, so I just think that's kind of funny. But yeah, I didn't get to utilize that. One thing on my team I wish I would have done actually is get a better Fighting Stab Pokemon. I think having Fighting Stab is really useful. But actually, yeah, so then the reason behind Regice, I'll kind of go into based on this chart I've got up here too. So this is a chart of all of the moves that you would reasonably use with your Pokemon. So, I guess I never went into the Moltres either, but the Moltres I just thought was a nice. I needed a Stab Fire type, and I like having it has Will-O-Wisp. It's pretty strong. I don't know. It kind of fit my team at the time, I think. Plus I can set Sun for Leafeon, and Airstreams next to Garchomp. Another flying type was nice for that, I figured, because I only had the one. But anyways, yeah, this is a chart of all the moves you would reasonably use with these Pokemon. So essentially what I did is you go to Cerebi, and you can just like look at the max moves, right? So like physical or special, what do your Pokemon get? So like Hatterene, gets Mystical Fire. Every mon gets normal moves, but it gets Shadow Ball. Obviously it gets Fairy moves, Psychic moves. I think it gets like Dark Pulse and like Giga Drain. So like, yes, Hatterene also gets Nuzzle, so it gets electric coverage. But I probably wasn't going to run physical Hatterene. Now you could, it has like 95 or something like that, but I probably wasn't going to reasonably use it for electric coverage, right? Plus that's just a supportive move. So this is all of the these are all of the moves that you would reasonably use with your mon for coverage. Now I have Water on Garchomp, but I actually was planning on running Special Garchomp one time. But one thing I noticed when I filled out this chart, with the Bisharp, is Bolton was my only electric coverage user, and Type Null was my only ice coverage user. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa. I was like, I don't know if I want that, because ice is really strong offensive type as well. and sometimes Bolton's going to want to be supportive, so I might not want to use the electric coverage on him. So I thought, okay, what mon can I get that has electric and ice and also fits my team a little bit? And I don't know that Red Ice super fit my team well. I really didn't bring it that much, but it had a lot of special bulk, and I think my team was kind of lacking there. And it, I felt like I had enough fast modes, so like a slower Pokemon also I thought would be nice, like a slower, bulkier Pokemon for my team. And yeah, like I said, it gets that ice and electric coverage, so that's kind of nice. But I love mapping these out for my draft teams. It's really simple to do too in Therapy. Like it's really not that bad. But you can just get a nice picture of what kind of coverage your draft team has. Now, another thing to think about is resists as well and weaknesses. So I thought that was one thing about my team is I was really weak to electric. I think, yeah, like Kabutops, Celesteela, Moltres, and then fighting as well. Actually, no, sorry. Ice as well. That was the other thing I was thinking about is Regice resists ice, and my only ice resist was actually Kabutops because yes, I have a steel and a fire type, but they're also flying, and so the only Pokemon on my team that resisted ice was, I mean, Bisharp did resist ice, but it's not really a defensive Pokemon. So I was like, man, I kind of need an ice resist if I need to like switch in somebody for Garchomp or something like that too. So that was another reason behind picking the Regice. But luckily, I think that like Otto's Draft League site, it's like draftleague.nl or something like that, which was the site overall. That's a whole separate thing. I mean, that was super nice to use. It makes the league like so much more legit too. It's just I don't know. It's really cool to see your your team on there on a website and something like that. So I think it was really well done. And anyways, yeah. So it shows you the resists on there, but seeing the coverage is really nice. Just because it can help you, like sometimes I'll even start to do this during the draft, like especially with drafts that aren't like live and they take a while, they have a long timer. You can map this out like midway through the draft and be like, okay, what do I need? What kind of coverage do I have? And that was another thing is I did want more water coverage than just Kabutops and Garchomp, but it is what it is. So anyways, yeah, it was a really fun season. Also getting the capture card for $10 was really nice. So if anyone wants that link, I will link it to them. Because I use that same $10 capture card for all my draft league matches, and it honestly, I feel like it works beautifully. I haven't had any issues with it. So that was nice. But the other thing is that I probably won't use too many of these mons in draft in my next team, which I've already drafted for UGA actually. But yeah, I like trying out new mons. I hadn't used any of these Pokemon besides Hatterene, Liepard, Boltund, and Type Null. All the other Pokemon were just kind of like theorized, and I was like, okay, I think I can make this mon work with this or that. Those are the only mons. I think it's nice though to use a mix of like maybe some stuff you're comfortable with, some stuff you want to try out. So I think draft is a great time to try out what what some new mons that you're thinking about can do. But yeah, I mean overall it was a really fun competitive season. I liked all the content that people put out. Let's see. Felt like there was some other stuff I was going to talk about. Yeah, I don't know. basically it was a good season. We got second. We'll be coming. Oh, that's it. Next next season's about in a month. So the signups are going to be going up soon, and I'll be looking out for all the returners from this season, and we're coming for that trophy this year. We're going for the undefeated season and trophy this year. So didn't plan on going undefeated, especially looking at my division right off the bat, but I think I got pretty lucky in some of my games. I still thought I was prepping well and whatnot, but definitely got a little bit of RNG my way here and there. But yeah, we got the UGA coming out, so look out for that content. That'll be a fun draft league to experience. And then in about a month or so, VDL will start up season 3. So it's gonna be a good time. And yeah, I think that's gonna conclude our postseason thoughts. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you all later. Peace.